spelling. They're a married couple and they live at 41 Concord Drive in Dunedin, and they've lived there for about the last 3 years. They have a pool in their backyard, and they've used Bay Area Pool Techs as their pool cleaning service for the entire time that they've lived in their home. Their normal pool cleaning schedule is on Thursday or Friday afternoons, but according to the Hokavars, the pool cleaning service has never been there when it's dark out, and certainly not been there at 9 o'clock at night. Carl, with a K, Polek, P-O-L-E-K, works for Bay Area Pool Techs, and he has been cleaning the Hokavars pool for about the last 6 months to 1 year. So on June 15th, at about 9 o'clock in the evening, the Hokavars were in a bedroom in the front of their residence watching a movie. They both got up, again, around 9 o'clock to go to the kitchen to get something to eat. As Yana entered the family room area, which is towards the back of the house, she heard noise coming from the back area, the pool deck area, where they have a screened lanai. So the back area is totally screened in. There's doors you have to open to get onto the lanai, so it's kind of an extension of their home through a set of sliding glass doors, and then there's also a side door that gets out to the back area. There were blinds that were covering the sliders, and they were closed. Yana looked out, kind of on a corner of the sliders by the blind. She looked out, and she saw clearly a male subject on their pool deck. Yana said that she didn't recognize the person. There was not supposed to be anybody at their home, not anybody on their pool deck, not anybody on their lanai. And where she saw this person was within a few feet of the sliding glass doors, again, on the pool deck. She said that as she saw this person who was out there, she didn't recognize him, and that he was, again, a few feet away from the sliders and actually moving toward the door. She obviously became concerned at that point. She locked the side door and yelled to her husband, Bradley, that there was someone on the pool deck. Bradley Hokavar stated that he immediately became concerned because there wasn't supposed to be anybody at their home, on their pool deck, etc. That Yana was obviously concerned, and he was concerned that somebody was coming into their home. He yelled to the person to get out or go away several times. They waited a brief period. Yana told Bradley that she still heard noise and that the person was still on the pool deck despite being yelled at to go away. Yana picked up the phone and she called 911, and much of what transpired from that point forward is captured on the 9/11 audio recording that we're going to play for you. There's also video from the Hokavars pool deck camera that we're also going to play. So at that point, after being told by Yana that she still heard noises, and they both believed the person was still out on the pool deck, and again, this is within feet of the sliders, and didn't recognize the person, Bradley Hokavar went to his bedroom and removed his Colt M4 carbine rifle from the closet. Now, this Colt M4 carbine rifle is what most people would call an AR-15 rifle. The rifle has a 30-round magazine. The magazine was fully loaded, but the gun did not have a round chambered. Bradley Hokavar returned to the family room, and Yana was on the phone with 911. Bradley took up a position behind the couch, and so his wife's on the phone with 911. He and his wife are behind the couch looking out, but they really can't see out because the blinds are shut. So all they know is that she clearly saw a guy out there, heard noise, saw the guy coming toward the window, the blinds are shut, he had yelled at the guy to go away, but the person was clearly still there. And at that point, he saw a flashlight, and he saw the flashlight coming toward the house, toward the doors, as if the person with the flashlight was coming into the house. And because of what he saw, that he decided to fire. Now, what I just explained to you, and you'll see it in the video, is consistent with the video because Carl Pollock, who was their pool guy, was on the pool deck with a flashlight, moving toward the doors at the time that Hokovar says that's what he saw and he fired. So again, just to kind of recap it, what Hokovar says at this point is his wife clearly saw an unknown male on their deck within feet of their doors. He had yelled at the person and warned them to leave, that the person was moving toward the doors with a flashlight. He was in fear for his wife's and his safety because the person was coming into their home. So at that point, he fired 2 rounds from the rifle. When Hokovar fired, again, the blinds were closed so that he couldn't see exactly who was out there, but he could see the flashlight and knew that it was from a person, and from what his wife saw, the person was moving toward the doors after having been warned to go away. So when Hokovar fired, you'll see it in the video, it's established that, again, Pollock was on the pool deck with a light moving toward the sliding glass doors. So when Hokovar fired, and you'll see it in the video, Pollock was turning away and he was hit with glass and shrapnel from the rounds. So he wasn't per se shot. He was struck with, in the back, he was struck with shrapnel from the rounds and glass. Pollock immediately ran from the lanai. Jana Hokovar remained on the line with 911 as deputies were responding. And again, Bradley Hokovar still couldn't see out the back windows, but both he and Jana stated that they still heard noise and believed the person was still on the back deck. So 47 seconds after he fired the first 2 rounds, and 47 seconds after Pollock actually ran away, but again, they still say they heard noise out there, Bradley Hokovar fired additional rounds, and then 25 seconds after that, he fired more rounds. In total, Bradley Hokovar fired 30 rounds from the rifle in about 90 seconds. And only the first 2 rounds were fired when Pollock was on the pool deck. The remaining rounds, he was actually gone. So as we talked to Carl Pollock, he was the Hokovar's pool cleaner. He had been in the neighborhood cleaning pools. They were behind schedule, and that's why he went to their home at 9 p.m. Pollock did not knock on the door. He didn't call or make any attempt to notify the Hokovars that he would be entering their back lanai and going on to their pool deck at 9 p.m. Again, when Pollock entered, he did so through a side door. He placed his equipment on the ground, and you'll see in the video, it looks like he waves towards the glass, but the blinds were shut, and Jana Hokovar says that she didn't recognize him at all, had no idea who it was, and she just saw the male figure. And you'll hear that in the 911 recording. It's obvious that she didn't know who it was and that she was concerned. Now, as Pollock was on the deck, and again, you'll see this here in a second, he couldn't see because it was dark. So he briefly goes around the side of the house to look for a light. He couldn't find the light switch, so he came back onto the pool deck and then went back out the side door that he came into his truck to get a flashlight. When Pollock returned with the light, he began completing paperwork. He then moved toward the sliding doors with the light to put the paperwork down. Pollock stated he probably should have let the Hokovars know that he was on their pool deck at 9 p.m. And as I said, Pollock was transported to the hospital with minor injuries, shrapnel, glass that struck him, and he was treated and released that night. So that's a picture of Bradley Hokovar's rifle that he used. We'll go ahead and play the 9/11 tape now. This is the recording, and then we'll play the video. All right, go ahead. It's all captioned up here so you can see it. It's kind of hard to hear some of it.
911, what's the address of the emergency?
Hi, our address is 41 Concord Drive, Dunedin. Somebody is just on our line. Somebody is around our house.
What's the phone number you're calling from?
Please come quickly.
Were they walking around the house?
No, they're trying to break, they were trying to break me, but I heard them and I saw them, and we don't know if they are armed or not. We just need somebody to come and check on the house. street.
All right, one moment.
It was a one man that I saw who, I don't know what he was doing.
My name is John. What is your name?
Yana,
Can you spell that for me?
Jan, like November A.
And your last name?
I think he's still here. Can you send somebody from here?
I'm already sending them, but I need your name.
Okay. Yana Hocevar, Hocevar.
Like I said, I already have help on the way. They've already been dispatched to you.
Okay, so it's Dunedin Cove, and I'll give you I think there's a gate code, or they can call my number, and I'll.
What is the gate code?
One sec. I'm going to. Oh, they are sending somebody. I hope so. Okay, so. It is and
Okay, did you see the person that's outside?
yes, it was.
Is it a white male, black male, Hispanic male?
They are, I couldn't tell, I think it was white, but I couldn't tell.
How old did he look?
Maybe 40, 30, younger, not old.
Okay, and what color shirt did he have on?
So he was in the one eye, it was completely dark. When I saw him, I quickly closed the curtain and locked the door.
Okay, that's fine. How tall did he look?
They had a battery.
And how much did he weigh? What was that?
Not to go to.
What was that? Man,
My husband.
what
This was my husband.
was that thing?
This was the.
Who's being shot?
They are going around the house.
Who? I need to know what that was.
I don't know, somebody's yelling.
Was that a gunshot?
Yes, it was a gunshot.
Who shot it? Who shot it?
My husband, because they are walking around here with a.
What kind of gun does he have? Stop shooting.
Stop shooting.
Stop shooting. Stop shooting the gun.
Stop, Marcus. Stop.
I need him to stop shooting the gun.
Okay, stop. 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 Put it down. Put it on the floor, please.
Why?
Just stay here.
What kind of gun is it?
Somebody.
I don't know.
No, somebody.
Did he shoot anybody? Hello, ma'am.
Stop it, please. Stop it, stop it. Stop it, please. Why?
I need him to stop shooting the gun.
Where are you? Where is the...
I need him to put down the gun, ma'am.
I need the police.
Ma'am, I need him to put down the gun.
You put it down. You put it
What
down.
kind of gun is it?
I don't know. You say,
Is anyone shot?
we don't know. No, we don't want to get out of the house. The alarm's on.
What was he shooting at?
I don't know. He's outside. We are waiting for somebody to come and help. Nothing stop. Stop up. Nothing. Hey, now, send somebody here.
What kind of gun is it?
It's an AR. I need somebody to come in, please.
They're on the way. They're coming as fast as they can.
But please, now it's down. The gun's down. Come here, Lord. Come here.
Is that police?
Who's here?
Who's here?
Should I go to the front door?
I don't want you to go to the door yet, ma'am.
Okay.
Where did he put the gun away at?
It's on the floor in the bedroom. It's on the floor in the bedroom. We are afraid because that's invading your house now.
Where is he right now?
I'm in the bedroom. Don't yell. We are in
I need you guys to get out of the bedroom.
we are in the front room.
So you guys, no one's in the same room as the gun right now, is that correct?
No, we are not.
the same with the guy.
They're hiding behind the sofa in the front room.
We're behind the sofa and coming. What happened?
What family room?
In the family room.
You guys are in,
Yes, in the family room.
Is that okay, sir?
yes. I just need to make sure you don't have the gun with you, that we have deputies there.
No, it's in a different room. We are okay.
God damn.
Okay, well, are the deputies there?
We don't know.
Alright, I want you guys to stay in the house for right now, okay?
Okay.
What happened?
Nothing, I don't know.
God damn, I shut up the whole fucking.
Yes.
We were ready to open doors if the deputies are here.
One moment, let me,
My God.
I'm afraid to go to the
Did I hurt something?
No, this is a, no. No, please. No, please. Please. Okay?
okay, go to the front door, ma'am.
Okay? My husband will stay here. Come here, come. Yeah, come here, with my husband.
Okay,
When the deputy is behind us. Okay? We are at the front door, it's good.
they're there? Are the deputies there?
No.
Right, good.
Okay, I want you to stay by the front door.
Okay, we are by the front door, I'm gonna turn the
I
light.
want you to put your hands in the air. I need you guys to raise your hands up as you come out the house. Both of you guys need to have your hands in the air
Yes, yes.
and come out the front door.
All right, come on out. That's good. Okay. Take it to a bit.
Okay,
All right, they'll take over from here. I'm gonna let you go now.
okay, thank you.
So he's going around looking for the light now. This is dark. The time on that video is off by 1 hour. They just didn't change it. So now he's going to his truck to get his flashlight. can stop it. Okay. So you can see from the video, and that's really the end of it, he leaves now. And then 47 seconds later is when the remaining 28 rounds were fired. This is a classic example of what's called the Castle Doctrine, or Florida's Stand Your Ground Law. Bradley Hokovar was in his home. He was in fear that someone was breaking in. The evidence from the video and from his statements, the audio, his wife's statements on the video, and to detectives, that there's no crime that was committed. He was in his home. He was defending what he thought was an intruder coming into his house where he and his wife were. It's an unfortunate set of circumstances. When we talk to pool guy, in hindsight, he should have probably let them know that he was coming at 9 o'clock at night. Again, he made no effort to contact them at all with Pollock. Something I didn't tell you, and I don't know to the extent that it matters, is Bradley Hokovar is a retired lieutenant colonel from the Army. So obviously he was versed in firearms and fighting and firing. But you could tell that they were concerned, afraid for their safety. And with those facts of somebody on your back pool deck, you yell at them, tell them to leave. They're still there. You hear noise. They're within a few feet of the door. And then you see the flashlight, and the flashlight's coming toward the doors, and that's when he fired. And again, it's consistent with the video. So it's fortunate that Pollock wasn't seriously injured. There's a lot of shots that were fired, and the bulk of those shots were after Pollock had left the pool deck. So this is one of those things that, I guess if I was going to sum it up, I mean, it's a terrible set of circumstances, but it's unfortunate, avoidable, but it wasn't in this case. It's probably one of those things that I would call lawful but awful. I mean, it's lawful, but it's just an awful set of circumstances. But we're fortunate that nobody was seriously hurt. But again, there's no crime that was committed, and Hokovar was acting within the law when he fired. Anybody have any questions?
At what point did he realize that it was his pool guy who had shot him?
So not until after they went out the front door, and you can see there from the 911 call, or hear from the 911 call when they walked out the front, is as they walked out front and saw the pool truck in front of the house. And then he had this, oh my gosh moment. But it wasn't until then. He really had no idea until they walked out front and saw the pool truck.
Although this may have been, within the law, was there a better way for the homeowner to have handled this situation?
Under those circumstances, I don't think so up until the first 2 rounds. After the first 2 rounds, and again, we've got to be careful in this, that we're not Monday morning quarterbacking, armchairing it. We're not there. We're not sitting in our home with a wife where you clearly see a guy. The guy was in a few feet. You've given him directions to leave. You've given him warnings, tell him to get out of there. You hear noise, and now you hear a flashlight coming in. And remember, all this is unfolding very fast. This whole thing is over with in 90 seconds. And, he fires the first 2 rounds, but he can't see out there. And he can't see because the blinds are shut. So he doesn't know the guy's gone. 47 seconds later, and he still hears noise. His wife still hears noise. You can tell from what they're telling the 911 call taker that they still believe somebody's out there. Then that's 47 seconds later. He fires a volley of rounds, and then 25 seconds after that is when he just unloads the entire magazine. If there's room for discussion here, that's where the room for discussion is, about firing that number of rounds in rapid succession and basically unloading the magazine and what would have caused that. But at this point, there's nobody on the pool deck. There's definitely no crime because there's nobody there. And if there's room for discussion, that's where there's room for discussion. That probably didn't need to happen, as we would say in hindsight. But again, we're not there under that tense environment that he's operating under, thinking that somebody's coming into his house, and he's in fear. So, but that's where the room is to analyze it, provide constructive feedback, if you will, or for some, criticize it. I don't think there's any room to do any of that for the first 2 rounds. I think this is about as squarely within the Castle Doctrine and Stand Your Ground law as it gets.
As a law enforcement, sheriff, yourself here, would you recommend somebody, because I'm sure we're gonna see comments of somebody saying, why didn't you just go look out the blind? Why didn't you look out another window to see if you can seal it all? What would you, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I don't think that that's a reasonable suggestion that somebody should have done. When you have that situation, it's 9 o'clock at night, it's totally dark out, and your wife sees clearly a male subject, clearly doesn't recognize him, and you can hear that from the 911 call and tells you, hey, look, there's some guy on our back deck. And this isn't just like an open area. You had to open a door to get in, you're close, you're within a few feet, you're hearing noise, then you verbalize to the person, get away, go away, and you still hear stuff. No, I don't think it's reasonable to say, oh, well, put yourself in harm's way, and what are you gonna do, just peer out? And you don't know whether the person's got a gun, you don't know what their deal is. And also, concerned if the circumstances. You don't know if they're there to get him personally. You don't know if it's a property crime. You don't know what it is. I'll tell you what experience does tell me is that, it tells me that, not necessarily him, is that most people who commit property crimes, when they're confronted, they flee. Okay, but those are thieves, those are burglars. But there could have been something more here, or a lot going in his mind. Again, he's got a military background. There could be somebody there that was there to get him for some reason. He's got a lot of background, and so I don't think that's reasonable. I don't think anybody should do that. I would never suggest that somebody do that, because you could end up getting yourself shot.
So with the pool cleaner, did he acknowledge that he heard the homeowners inside telling him to leave?
No, and we don't think he probably did, because we're trying to match this up. Again, the 911 call gives us the audio, and the video is from the camera, but the audio and the video aren't exactly in sync and matched. And the best we can tell, again, I'm just saying that, the best we can tell is when he was verbalizing is probably when he ran around the corner to find the light switch. So best we can tell, he probably didn't hear him verbalizing. That's why this is one of those just, situations that in some cases everything just lined up imperfectly. The only thing that lined up right here is that Pollock didn't get shot. That's, a good thing given these circumstances. But other than that, it's just a calamity of situations that lined up, and that's why I say it's lawful but awful. It is awful, but we're fortunate that Pollock didn't get shot. But that's what we think.
What were the injuries that he faced? What were those from?
Yeah, shrapnel. So the rounds fragmented as they're going through the glass. So it's fragments from the rounds from they're .223 rounds, .223 caliber rounds. So they fragmented and then the glass. So we got hit with the glass. Basically superficial cuts is what they are. And some of the shrapnel was still in, and the doctor said it'll naturally come out. So he wasn't shot. He was hit with, if you will, flying debris, glass and shrapnel. So it basically cuts. Very fortunate.
Now, is it normal for these pool companies to just come out, at different hours, or are they usually on this set schedule, or?
I don't know. I guess it depends on the pool company you use, but all I can tell you is what we knew here. And what we knew here with this pool company is that they came on Thursdays or Fridays in the afternoon. They never came after dark, and certainly never at 9 o'clock at night. So this was totally out of any norm whatsoever. And there's no way, under any circumstances, that Yana or Bradley Hokovar would have known, could have known, should have known, thought, oh my God, well, that's the pool guy on the back deck. No. I think that their reaction to this, given 9 o'clock at night with everything that I described to you, is a very normal reaction. It's the reaction that most all of us would have had given those circumstances, especially when she looked out and she didn't recognize the guy. She didn't see him, or she saw him, but she didn't recognize him. Couldn't put it all together. It made no sense to them. And then you put it together with the verbalization to get out. He doesn't get out. He's close, gets the light, and you can see in there where the flashlight does come, and what Bradley Hokovar says is that when he fired is because the light is now coming toward the door, and he thinks the guy's coming in, and you can clearly see that from the video. He's there with the light, and he's moving towards the doors, and that's when he fired. And the gun did not have, the slight delay there is, and somebody wanted to look at it like really closely and critically, you'd say that, well, he actually fired when Pollock was actually turning around and moving back. but there was not a round in the chamber. So it wasn't like he was sitting there and, anxious to shoot. He had the magazine that was loaded, but he didn't have a round. He had a rack of rounds. So he hadn't decided, when he took that AR out, it wasn't like he was sitting there and he had decided, I'm going to pull this trigger. He was sitting there, he was waiting, and what was the event that caused him to fire was the flashlight, and he thinks the guy's coming in, so he puts one in the chamber and racks it, and then fires. Which again, cuts to, this isn't a guy that was sitting there trigger happy wanting to shoot. He was trying to protect himself and his wife, and he was concerned about the circumstances.
How lucky are we that the deputy wasn't close by, and let her ride a minute or two early, in between that first two shots and before he entered the round?
Well, there's a lot of lucky in this thing. Also, lucky, because the facts are the facts, is he also fired, after the first two rounds, he fired 28 more rounds that went out the back of that house, that they didn't go somewhere, there wasn't somebody else around. One of the things that certainly caused this, if you will, and I put that in quotes, was it was 9 o'clock at night. The good part about it was 9 o'clock at night, there's not a lot of people around. There's not, those rounds and 223 rounds, those rifle rounds will travel a good distance. So there's a lot of good things, that didn't happen here as well, that it could have been much worse.
So those rounds didn't hit anything else that he fired off?
No. No, I mean, look, I'm not trying to, but you guys are gonna go out there, probably all of you are gonna go from here out there is what you're gonna do, and you'll see that behind there's a shuffleboard court. So if it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon, which I'm sure you all will get into the what-ifs of that, but it was 9 o'clock at night. But yeah, there was. But to answer your question is that thankfully there's nobody out there, and a lot of the rounds we couldn't find because they travel such a good distance. Those rifle rounds will travel, so we couldn't find them. All the shell casings, of course, were recovered inside the house. Anybody got anything else? All right, thanks.